Hello. Are we all ready to get going? Sorry, I'm a little late. Okay, who's going first? On our
I'll go first.
Braden?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to share your screen and all that fun stuff?
Um, yeah.
Go ahead and do that and go ahead and get started.
Okay, 1 second. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so group two, we're doing Canyon Aeronautics Cloud Migration Project, otherwise known as CACM. So our risk management plan is as follows. So several of these categories have to deal with like making sure data is safe and not compromised. But other risks include a breakdown in project management. So this would be like the project manager is responsible for creating and monitoring all project management processes. The risk level is only moderate, so that'd be 2 out of 9. And a mitigation strategy for this is like regular team meetings with project management and clear communication guidelines. This means just ensuring that everybody's in the same page, all the processes are followed without deviating from the plan. So the next one would be poor communication will lead to project failure. This is a little similar. Limited communication leads to confusion and tasks not being completed properly. We want to make sure that everybody knows what step we are in the process, how we're going to take care of certain things. So a mitigation strategy for this is pretty similar as well. It's efficient communication with project members, stakeholders, and team leads, as well as checking in weekly. So the stakeholders are also very important. We want to ensure that they know what's going on, and then team leads can lead the project should something go or get derailed. So the next one is sensitive corporate information becomes unsecure. So during any data migration, data and information becomes more vulnerable. Obviously, when you're moving data, it's going to be tough to make sure all of it is secure and safe. So a mitigation strategy for this is to ensure an up-to-date backup is completed, set user permissions to least privilege principal before migration, running the same scripts during testing that you do when you're fully doing the complete project, and then ensuring an emergency response team is fully active. Okay, and the next one's going to be the company fails to meet regulation requirements. This is important in regards to legal law standards. So while transitioning to the cloud, compliance needs to be at the forefront of all decisions. Uh, Weekly meetings between governance, risk, and compliance managers and all leads will occur to ensure we reduce risk for this. The risk is low because all regulations will be met if the mitigation strategy is followed. So as long as you ensure that you're checking step to step, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Next, we have the network is not properly configured. So a large amount of data is going to be transferred to the cloud. Obviously, this can create a lot of problems um, if your network isn't properly configured to deal with all the stress and the workload. So how this can be mitigated is stress testing in smaller increments and increasing as you go along using not important data, and then fixing any issues before the official transfer. And then next, we have failure to convert web application to cloud. Migrating web applications to the cloud presents a possibility something goes wrong and mitigation fails. Old servers and infrastructure for web apps will remain in place until migration is completed. And testing a full run through of apps and services in the cloud environment will be very important. Once all web applications are fully functional in a live cloud environment, the old infrastructure can be removed. And next, we have the cost becomes unfeasible. This is also very important because budget is obviously the what's going to kickstart the project. So the cost manager must ensure the company is keeping under budget for project completion. Um, a way to mitigate going over budget is to identify proper wiggle room for the budget so you don't surpass. This is a medium risk with a high impact because if you go over budget, there's not much you can do. The project might have to be called, but proper planning and monitoring for money spent can help mitigate this problem. Also, the next one is training on processes as a result of migration. So I wanted to say that budget can also be calculated by previous projects or research on different projects that are similar. But documentation may be the last process, but is not the least important. Documenting everything that goes on in a project is important for future training and if you needed to carry on a similar project in the future. Detailed documentation enables a return to the process as well as training. And then the mitigation strategy is governance, risk, and compliance manager will coordinate with the various teams and oversee that the documentation is completed and sufficient for the company. And yeah,
All right, very good job, Braden. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thumbs up. Okay, so unshare your screen, please. And team one, you're up.
Okay, here we go. Give me a second. Like that. Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, it's percent. It's working. Okay, so we're Lopes Cloud Center Risk Management Plan. I am Luis, and Stefan is going to take the second half of the presentation, and we're going to talk today about our risk management plan. So creating a risk plan, we have to identify how we are going to ensure that our risk plan is effective. We're gonna use a framework for it went not full screen. Is it still full screen?
No.
Oh, dang it. Okay, let's see. Thing is, I am trying to read my annotations as I am presenting. I'm sorry, Professor.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna identify the risks, then we're gonna analyze those risks. We're gonna, with the analyzed risks, develop a risk strategy, monitor and control our risks, then generate a response to those risks, and then we're gonna finalize with creating a risk plan. Our scope is we're gonna define where our possibilities of risk come into place. We're gonna start, we're a data migration company. We have an estimation of 5 months. We have 12 crucial steps. We're gonna define the risk mitigation plan, analyze the risk, discover the risk tolerance of our company, and balance those risks based on our decisions. Give me a second. Sorry. The project members are Dwight Ferries as the CEO. He has the final say on our risk management program. He is in charge of the highest part of risk appetite, meaning how much is our company willing to accept risk. We are a data migration company, so we are aware that we cannot have a risk appetite high because our customer information is precious, and not being able to secure the data, it's crucial for us. Next slide. So, give me a second. I'm still trying to get my notes. Sorry, Professor. This is so different. There you go. My bad. Yes, I have my the speaker notes. Sorry. So going risk identification. So in our risk identification, we use the framework to identify which risks are more important, and we classify them in a using a internal external model, defining which risks we can handle internally and which risks can come from external sources. And this is here. Bad. Why I cannot see my notes? This makes me angry. Then our risk analysis. Our risk analysis is the risk appetite and identifying all our risks. And I hate this. I'm sorry, Professor. This is not how I'm used to present.
Well, just try to keep going, Luis.
Okay.
Possible. We're not.
And our risk tolerance. Risk tolerance is how much is our company willing to accept risks? How are we going to be affected by the risks that might come up? And now we're going to show our rate log. Okay,
So right here is pretty much our raid log. It's pretty hard to see because I was trying to fit all of our risks into this picture, but I kind of broke it down and from our raid log. And if we move on to the next one, you can see how detailed I went into it with everything else. Luis, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is mostly our raid log with more details into it. The raid log here will go ahead and categorize different categories, which is our root cause, the triggers that the reason as to why the root causes happen, and then the potential responses, the risk owners that will go ahead and deal with those issues, and the probability of them actually happening, and then the impact assessment on how high they are on our radar. And then from here, we also have the reason for impact and assessment selection, explaining why we picked our reason of impact for the specific reason. Again, just I put side notes, like the raid log created an organized and strategic way about the project. So it helped us categorize which different ways are going to be the most important to least important. And with all the risks listed with the probability and impacts, it will also answer questions if the stakeholders were to have any, depending on what type of issues there were. So if we go to the next slide.
Yep.
This is our probability impact matrices. So based off the other slide, I went ahead and made them into more of a visual for basically all our stakeholders to see. So we have our low, medium, and high impact, and then our low, medium, high probability. So if we were to look at the low, R3 and R16, those are our low impact and low probability. Then our R8 and R17 is our low impact and medium probability. So if we were to look back at the previous raid log and we would match those, you would see which ones correlate to each other and where they're at onto the matrices. The probability and impact was help to determine which risks needed detailed risks and response plans, It is vital to understand the priority for each risk as it allows the project team to appreciate the relative importance of each risk. So if we move to the next one, again, here is just a different way of our risk mitigation plan. We went ahead and added more, just a picture to go ahead and explain for some of them as to like which strategies and which plans we would go ahead and have to mitigate any of these issues. So for instance, if we were to look at latency, the mitigation strategies for that would be the equipment to track latency, WAN optimization, periodic maintenance on equipment, and stress test. Another one is data loss, which is one of our high impacts or high classifications. And we would want to go ahead and conduct regular scheduled drills to restore information through detailed backups and procedures. And our next
references. And I finally got access to my speaker notes. So really quick, just want to say that a project rises from uncertainty. And I mean, a risk arises from uncertainty, and the uncertainty comes from our attempt to predict the future based on estimates. And that's how we attempted to do this whole risk management, basing ourselves on the probability of things to go right or go wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Stefan.
Thank you.
All right, good job. Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry. It's
not a problem.
I'll be ready for next time with my speaker notes.
All right. Make sure you unshare. Okay. Team 3 and 4, who's ready to go first? Duncan or Ivan? Okay. Andres says no. Duncan says pulling up docs. All right, you have 2 minutes to decide who's going first, or it will impact your final score.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I
All
can.
right, good. We'll go.
Is this Duncan? I'm assuming.
Yeah,
All right.
you can tell by tone of voice.
Yeah, it sounds rather okay.
All right, so
Share your screen and
you can see my screen, yeah?
yes, I can see it.
Okay. So just going down the line for the risk management plan, is Valerie in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to
So
go first?
yeah, if you can go over your sections and then I'll go over mine.
Sure. Okay. So for our risk analysis for our team, that we decided that our goal is to become risk adverse for our risk appetite. Risk is inevitable, and with such a large scale project, it'll be better for some risks to be accepted or transferred rather than mitigated. So the deliverable for our project is data migration, which is unlike any other IT project. And so we must maintain both best practices that align with both our project team and by the customer, so that the product will follow government and industry standards. And so we're gonna implement auditing tools into the project and provide great documentation in order to keep a risk-adverse appetite. And so the benefit of choosing this will allow for our team to stay on schedule during migration. It will allow us to maintain a seamless transition from the old architecture to the new. We will be able to obtain security goals and then reduce costs as well. And so our ultimate goal is to migrate to a cloud solution while maintaining customer satisfaction. And so having a risk adverse appetite throughout this process will allow us to achieve these goals. And then, let's see. And so for risk identification, we have a few project members and stakeholders that are involved in this process. And there are a lot of underlying factors that affect our project. And so we have our accounting and finance department, our legal, HR, our security, and then database administration and just project leads who are making these decisions and keeping in contact throughout the entire process. And I think that's it. Am I forgetting something?
No, I think that's it. So for 3 and 4, probability of risk, I have my raid log that I've created for our raid assignment. I'm going to be taking criticality and the status of all the risks we've identified, and I'm going to calculate, air quotes here, calculate how probable they might be to happen. Because there's criticality and then there's likelihood. Likelihood is not covered in a raid log. It's just status and criticality. So that'll give you more insight into our risk appetite, even more than Valerie's document. And for 4, risk response planning, I'm having each of our departments create a contingency plan for the risk that most accurately applies to them. So target application parameterization risk right here will be covered by the DBAs. Orchestration risk will be handled by the project leads and the DBAs. Budget overrun will be finance. Data loss will be legal, because obviously if data is lost, they're probably going to sue us. And user interference is going to be the DBAs and another department. I can't remember what I assigned it to. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of just wanted to go over all 4 points of the assignment and show you in a couple images and documents what we're doing. And so far, Dwight, I've received a document from 5 out of the 7 of our employees. So
Okay.
we're going pretty smoothly right now.
All right. Well, that was a good presentation. I appreciate the detail and thoroughness. So hopefully you'll get everything together and have it ready before Sunday, right?
It will be ready earlier than Sunday.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you. Good job, Valerie. Good job, Duncan.
Yay.
Right,
And I'm sorry, I misspoke. We're actually moderately risk averse, not risk averse.
Got it.
So
All right.
Zoom is just gone. Where'd it go?
Okay, please unshare
there
your
it is.
screen. And Andres of Team 3. It's
I'm not
no-
sharing anymore, right?
What?
I don't think I'm sharing anymore. Is
No,
that
not yet. So
okay? Cool.
you should be able to share now.
Wait, I need a. I'm getting there.
Okay. Yes, take your time.
Sorry, because I'm on a Mac and it's being very finicky with the screen sharing.
I'm on a Mac too.
It's asking permission. I don't know why.
Shouldn't-
There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So this is our risk management plan. And for our project, we're going to be moderately risk averse, because we all know that risk is something that we're going to have. It's a given. And then we try to do our best to meet all the company's needs, and we'll be more cautious and have a cautious approach to deliver the results to the company, and hope to have the overall success. And then on to the next slide. And then the team members and the stakeholders in this project will be obviously the project manager, project lead, would be the CEO, the IT security manager that would be in charge of security for the data migration, and then the database administrator that will handle the transition through all the transitioning the database, and then the network admin, would be in charge of the networking. So we would have everything in order as far as networking. So we would make sure that there's no data loss, and the software developers to handle all the software ends and help cater to the business needs. All right. So the risk, or the major risks that we see from this transition would be one, data loss. The other one would be client data is outdated. And then the other one would be malware and viruses. And then software fails to fulfill customer need requirements. And then corrupted data. So notice how it's all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in the next slide, we could see the different probabilities and impacts. So mostly they're on the moderate side or major side. That's a little typo. Then in the next slide, we'll go into exactly what. So the medium risks would be data loss, data corruption, viruses, and malware, and then failing to meet customers' expectations. And how we'll approach this for data loss, we'll have mitigation techniques. So mainly the network admin is to ensure that the data stream goes uninterrupted by monitoring the network traffic and monitor the transition of the database, and then have other techniques that we'll implement as a network admin. And another one would be if a spike is detected and data is lost, it will be quickly reported in order to attempt to recover it by sending the files over again. Okay. The next one would be malware and viruses. Mainly in this one, the security leader would implement these techniques. We'll be regularly scanning and monitor the internal systems, that all the data would be transferred and going to the appropriate system. And then we'll have up-to-date antivirus software in all of our systems. And then we would just increase the network security. That would be including strong passwords, no broadcasting on open Wi-Fi connection, and we'll have WPA2 encryption and so forth. And then failing to meet customer needs, that mitigation would be mainly be controlled by quality control, customer service, and then the actual users. So in this phase, if there were to be any problems, if the transition's on, or if the users are experiencing slow latencies, that would be reported to us, so we could fix. And yeah, and the software developers can also look into that as well. All right, and then for the next slide, we'll have corrupted data. These mitigation techniques will just basically identify and monitor corrupted data, and we would identify storage drives and devices, and then we would check on the health of these drivers or drives and devices, and then we would also have implemented backup as a safe net. Right. And yeah, that would be our presentation.
Okay. Good job. We have an echo. Thanks. All right. So good job, everyone. I'm pleased with your presentations. It looks like you're all well on your way. If you have not completed your assignments, team leads, make sure everything is submitted before Sunday at midnight, and I will have them graded before Tuesday so we can go on to the next phase. Please look ahead to the last two assignments. Basically the curveball is just that, and then the final presentation. Any questions? Yes, Aaron, I know you've submitted. And speaking of questions, I know that Karsten, I did get a hold of Karsten. Were you able to get a hold, and he said he contacted you. Were you able to reach Casey? I still have not heard from him. This is to Aaron. Okay, I know Karsten's back. He had some major issues. He hasn't participated, but he sent me a note as to what was going on. Case, he did say he contacted you, but if he hasn't, he hasn't, but he did contact me. All right, so we'll just deal with that. But Casey now is of concern. All right. So that said, everyone still doing okay? Still going, things are going all right? Any concerns, issues? I'm really talking, as far as speaking to my colleagues about this class and all of you. So I do thank you all again for your hard work. And hopefully by Tuesday, we'll have everyone in. I know that essentially the only individual that I'm concerned about now in this class, well, in all of my classes now, is Casey. So, all right. So please take care. Please stay safe, and keep up the good work. You too, Luis. All right. See you all. Be good.
See you guys. Bye.
See ya.